Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2CTV, the home of geopolitical news from around the world. The Patriots in the Republic of Ireland have risen up. The government, the globalist government, are all over the place, and the corporate media in Ireland and across Europe are calling everybody far-right thugs. Of course, the narrative continues to be shifted by the media with the help of the political establishment, but this channel, 2CTV, is here to, of course, challenge the mainstream media and the political establishment, as you guys know. And we're going to give you guys the latest updates, what's been going on this week and this weekend in Ireland, and of course, especially in Dublin. Yes, everybody is coming out to fight against the globalist government and the agenda to essentially increase mass migration, legal and illegal. But most of the fights actually we've seen, the arguments coming from a lot of people in Ireland, is primarily about integration and illegal migration. But they also know that at this point, we do also have to talk about mass migration, legal and illegal, because for a long time, a lot of sensible people were saying, well, immigration could work. Firstly, number one, it has to come from the cultures that are compatible. Number two, slower pace, so you are able to integrate them. That will be fine. And thirdly, those who would contribute rather than take from the system. Everybody would have been fine with that. A few decades ago, a few years ago, if you had that system, people would be fine. Everybody was tolerant. But now, because of everything that's been going on, not just illegal migration, which is absolutely increasing in all our countries, but also a lot of people who are taking advantage by rigging the system to come here. Unfortunately, a lot of people are now forced to say, unfortunately, we're going to have to pause even legal migration because it's just too many. And it's not really just about the numbers when it comes to public services, but also in terms of integration. Even if you had legal migration, absolutely legal, but people not integrating, that will be a problem. So you can only do that if the pace is slower and from cultures that are compatible with obviously Christian Europe in general. Now, let's show you what's been going on in Ireland, especially yesterday, as a huge amount of people came out. The police, obviously, we also had some counter-protests, let's just say. The thugs from Antifa, the far-left organization Antifa, decided to come out, decided to clash with some of the protesters, and the police got involved. First things first, let's go to some of the videos that we have, and then we'll show you the clash. Now, if you're watching this live, of course, over the last few minutes, we've also heard some crazy updates coming from the Middle East, from Beirut in Lebanon and other parts of southern Lebanon, which we will come back to you guys straight after this live stream. That will be a breaking news because senior leaders of Hezbollah have been taken out. Everything is escalating in that area as well. But for now, we're going to focus on Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, because one of the main issues that we have is that any reaction we've so far had from the political left and the globalist establishment in Dublin is that everybody should just ignore what happened yesterday and today in Ireland. Everybody should just ignore it was a tiny minority of far-right thugs, blah, 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 the usual nonsense. Obviously, it's not true. These are the people who are simply concerned about their homes, about their land, about their territory, about their country, and about their culture and identity. It's not rocket science. I've always said it's not really about skin color in that sense, because people in Japan will be completely angry if a bunch of blondes from Scandinavia and Germany all move to Japan and change the culture of Japan. It's the same problem that you have if you go to Saudi Arabia and if you bring a bunch of Americans to Saudi Arabia, and if their numbers overtake the Saudi numbers, then of course everybody will kick off. It's natural. People are tribal. They need to protect their flags and their border and their identity. And of course there's national security issue as well in play, which again the media don't really focus on. They always say isolated incidents instead of focusing on the trend of behavior. Let's go to the next. Now, as you guys know, I am loyal to this kingdom, our United Kingdom, which is currently not that united. But in defense of the Republic of Ireland, these guys fought hard for their independence from this kingdom, from the British Empire, just to be invaded unofficially and indirectly by other forces. This is the whole problem, because there's going to be an interview which I'm going to show you, and these are the normal people in Ireland who are simply talking about how the whole media call them racist or whatever. But in reality, what they are saying is people are concerned that the majority, 99% of the illegal migrants happen to be men between the ages of 25, 20 to 35, 40. And that becomes a bit of a problem. If everybody was just a vulnerable refugee, children and women, people would have sympathy. People could still have a conversation saying, okay, well, we will still decide how many of you we're going to take in. But people will at least, on an emotional level, oh, you are vulnerable. Fine. The elderly, the women and children, not military-age men. This is where the conversation becomes complicated for the political left to even defend. This is where also the clashes started. Antifa got involved, the far left Antifa, and the police had to, of course, come and deal with it. Let's go to this video as well.
You caused that. Over here. I take
Of course, as usual, the Antifa side will be covering their faces with face nappies and everything else because they are afraid of their identity being revealed, which is quite interesting. If they have nothing to hide, what are they doing? There's also the interesting point about the communist left and the liberal left, both sides. They claim to be, at least the liberal side, claim to be inclusive. Then they are pushing for inclusivity. That's what they say, progressive inclusivity. But they are also going around carrying signs saying, for example, racists out. Now, for the sake of the argument, let's just say, yes, there are some people who are bigoted, right? That's their opinion. But they're not going to do anything like, to harm you. The people have different views, right? Let's just, for the sake of the argument, say, yes, there are racists. If you claim to be inclusive, these are the people, by racist, what they actually mean is patriots who are in a country. In this case, the Irish people who were born there, their parents were born there, their ancestors were born there, they fought for independence and everything else that happened in Ireland throughout the last few centuries. But the so-called progressive and inclusive left would say, no, you need to be out, racists out. Now, we know this is nonsense because the people who are fighting against, the liberal left and the communist left, fighting against exclusivity, as they call it, right? They are the ones who are more tribalists. They claim to be fighting against tribal people, and all humans by nature are tribal. There's a difference between tribal, that's just natural, and tribalist, because that becomes a political ideology. The people who are claiming to be internationalists and globalists, the people who claim to be more open-minded and outward-looking, are the most isolated and most exclusive people ever, because if they don't agree with you, you are not welcome. They do not believe in an open world. It's a lie. They only believe in it if everybody follows their ideology and their worldview. And that's when, if everything continues, when the Islamists come over and the far left, obviously taking over the political establishment, when they clash eventually, let's just say, these hipsters, the vegan avocado coffee drinkers, are going to be having a tough time because they can't tell certain other people what to do. And those people will come for queers for Palestine, for chickens for KFC, and the fatties for Palestine, and whatever we have these days. So all that will backfire on all of them, and we already know this. Let's go to the next video.
Refugees are welcome here! Refugees are welcome here! Refugees are welcome here!
In short, you have a bunch of so-called white Irish far-left idiots who cover their faces, right? Pretending to fight on behalf of the oppressed. Basically, every person from a different part of the world who's coming to Ireland or Europe is so weak and vulnerable. They have to look after them, right? But to summarize it, to actually translate what it means, in the words, and because these are the people who basically hate their own country, right? So they are basically fighting on behalf of somebody else coming to their country. They hate themselves and their country. In the words of Douglas Murray, this is masochism brought to you by sadists. That's what it is. They hate themselves, and now they have to get you to suffer as well because they had issues with their mummy and daddy as they grew up, and their spoiled middle classes with their champagne socialist families, and now they think, well, we're going to have to do something about the world. World peace, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it's so lovely, isn't it? Now, the whole thing is going to backfire on all of them because they don't even know what they want. All these are also so-called left-wing anarchists, which is also an oxymoron. Libertarian anarchists, or communists, basically. There's nothing libertarian about them because they claim that they're against the system, right? They want to bring it down. And then when you ask them, so what do you want after? We want a strong system to help the poor. Like, so you still want authoritarianism. You don't actually want anarchy. Anarchy is different. But these people don't really have an end goal. They genuinely don't, because these are the pawns. These people don't matter. They're the puppets. And they are essentially the foot soldiers who they don't even know they're the foot soldiers. They think they are the leaders. So ignore these guys. Think about who's funding them. Think about who's actually it benefits from these people being out there causing chaos on a regular basis. I can show you the next video as well. Again, this is the Patriots in the Republic of Ireland fighting against globalism.
I'm getting this live stream away before you.
No, we're not going to do it.
Are we getting over?
As we said, we're here to peace.
Are we getting
I'm just saying, you don't realise how lucky they are. I know, but I'm just saying, you don't know how lucky they are.
Even though it's a public street.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm talking.
Look, we won't give them the money, so that's all I'm looking for.
Now, as we said, the main problem is not only the people who came out to protests in Dublin and other parts of Ireland have been called names over the last few hours, of the last day or two. That's not the only issue. The media, who claim to be very impartial and objective in Ireland, are not actually reporting the truth, which is these guys came out peacefully to democratically protest. Their far left came, caused chaos, as I showed you. The police had to drag him away. They're covering their faces. They're attacking the Irish Patriots. The media are not reporting that. But if one Irish nationalist goes out there and, for example, shouts at an Irish police dog, then of course the whole of the media will be on top of it saying, wow, the protests are turning into riots, blah, blah, blah. But when Antifa are doing their dirty work, of course the media love it, because they don't have to do anything. All they have to do is just avoid reporting what exactly happened. And this is not really an abnormal situation. It's been going on in all our countries, from Canada to the United Kingdom. Now let's go to some of the interviews. Actually, there's an interview with this lady. GB News did, actually. A big shout out to GB for actually being there to cover this. And she tells the truth. Let's watch this.
What is your problem with the immigrants coming in?
The problem with the immigrants coming in is they're undocumented and illegal. The Irish people can't afford these undocumented male. There's no women, there's no children, it's just men. And then we have also the economic migrants coming in as well. We can't afford it. We have nowhere to put them. The Irish people have nowhere to live. We have lots and lots of people here, diverse from everywhere in the world. There's no problem with those people. They have jobs, they come, they work, they make their whole life here. What we're talking about is unvetted, undocumented male migrants.
The media will call her a far-right thug, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it is getting to a point where a lot of people would say enough is enough. They will get a point, and unfortunately, you don't want to get to that point, but it is going to get to that point if the establishment don't listen. But you are going to see more disruptions. You could potentially see even more violence, which is obviously sad, but it's the doing of the establishments. But the more they ignore this sort of nonsense that's coming from the mass migration and, of course, multiculturalism and the far left assisting it, then, of course, There's going to be more protests. There's going to be more outrage. And the issue is, a lot of people on the so-called far right are still democratic in all our countries. France, Germany, Italy, the UK, the Republic. And they are hoping, they have been hoping for the past few years that their right-wing parties and right-wing politicians, political leaders like Le Pen, like Wilders and everybody else, that they could build the support, and they've been trying their best to get them to win. Now, the next step is, which is already happening, that the establishment will try all they can to stop these leaders from becoming prime ministers and presidents. They've already done it with Wilders in the Netherlands. They didn't want him to become prime minister, and then they basically stopped him from becoming prime minister. They forced him out to say, you just be part of the negotiations for the new coalition. With Marine Le Pen, the same thing, that you had the media and the whole system rigging the whole thing before the election against her, and working with the other far left smaller parties to do coalitions to stop Marine Le Pen. Now that's what they would do every single time. The problem I have is that the more they try to rig it and stop people from actually democratically get what they want, unfortunately, don't be surprised if in the future more disruptions will happen. Slightly more violent disruptions. Of course, people are still very patient. In all our countries, they're very patient. Look at Denmark, look at obviously Ireland, look at the Netherlands, look at France. They are still extremely patient. This problem has been escalating for decades now, but at least definitely for the past 5-10 years. You could have seen actual riots over the last 10-15 years, and you still haven't really seen it. Not to that level. You've seen outrage, people sending a signal, sending a message to the establishment, for example, saying, this is what we can do. But people are still very civilized and democratic and patient. But there is a point, there is a boundary. If that gets crossed, and it gets to a point where people say enough is enough, and it's the job of the establishment, not my job or the guys on the streets, to do anything. It's the job of the establishment to actually start listening to the concerns of the people. Let's go to the next. Now let's get some reaction from the live chat. We got the first super chat from Paul Robson. Thank you, Paul. Saying amazing, a cause to unite both sides of the community. There's been a kind of interesting thing as well. We've seen it in Northern Ireland, for example, where similar protests when they happen in Belfast, where you actually had the left-wing Irish nationalists and of course the loyalists, the unionists, both sides actually working together. We got one person carrying the Republic of Ireland flag and the other one the Union flag, and actually working together. So it's essentially the Sinn Féin side to a point, not the actual political Sinn Féin, not the ones in charge. And of course the more unionist Patriots, both sides getting together. And again, the actual far left, eventually they will be running out of arguments, because if you're going to end up also getting the so-called traditional working class left-wingers, so the traditional, and these are the people I would still disagree with, but these are the working class trade unionist types. Like, for example, we've had in this country with the Labour voters, former Labour voters who are now currently probably voting Reform UK or UKIP or whatever, or maybe SDP, because SDP is still a left-wing party, but more nationalist, but left-wing. These people, the more they come out, the more it will be harder for the progressive left to also call them Nazis and fascists. Right now they're doing it because they're putting everybody in the same category. But the more the working class trade unionist lefties will come out, because they are also nationalists against the progressive globalist leftists, it will be slightly harder for the media and Antifa to call everybody far right. And if they actually do that, it will backfire, because the reason they are attacking the so-called far right and calling everybody far right, It's because they are demonizing them, because they're basically implying that it's a minority in this country. Hateful far right, it's a minority, right? They're out on the street, get them, minority. But if they keep calling everybody, and this movement keeps growing and growing, and everybody's out there, and they call everybody far right, then that becomes a majority, and it will backfire. So that basically means they are admitting that the majority in the country are far right. So that's democracy, right? So you can leave, and you can go to, I don't know, you can go to Toronto if you want. I'm sure Justin Trudeau will be happy to have you there. Let's see what else we have in the live chat. Brent says, it's not far right, just right so far. That's what we always say. Oh yeah, Conor McGregor should lead the fight. I'm slightly, just for the sake of entertainment, I'm looking forward to McGregor running for president. It will be chaotic, but it will be entertaining. Tina says, I'm so glad to see Northern Ireland unite. Let's hope that all of Ireland can. So I am with you, Ireland, all of you. Absolutely. There is a big fight right now because of the last few years in Northern Ireland, because they've been abandoned completely, the left and the right. And they are still part of the European Union. So they have to actually work together. Stop this nonsense and differences. It's been going for a long time. We all know that. You can get back to it. You can hate each other again, Protestants and Catholics. We get it. But right now, you have a big fight. It's your land. You're now part of the European Union. Some of you want to go and join the Republic. Fine. We could have that conversation later. But for now, for your own well-being, unite. And that's what has started to happen finally. Not everywhere, but at least parts of Belfast. Simply Mental says, economic nightmare. When will people realize that money is the root to all evil and corrupts the human soul? Me, instead of us working together for common goals. We have lost direction. Well, to be fair, I know what that means. I know the sentiment, but working towards a common goal versus me, that's very collectivist. For the greater good. You have to forget about your individual liberties. It's not about you. It's about the greater good. Who said that? Chairman Mao and Stalin. So you have to, there's a thin line between, of course, patriotism and staying together. And we have to make sure you don't cross that thin line and go towards collectivism. Because if it becomes about the greater good, instead of individual liberty and your own family first, then everything will collapse. And there's a massive problem because, again, attacking the concept of money. Let's not forget, it's not money itself, because money is simply a tool to exchange your services and your goods. It always existed in different shapes or form. It's humans. It's human nature. Human nature always has good and bad. And the people who attack the concept of money, like Karl Marx, like Stalin, like Che Guevara, like Chairman Mao, all these people, these are the people who attack the concept of money. And they use that to bring down your freedoms and your democracy. It's human nature. And the only system that actually was able to maintain that balance between your freedoms, but also contain the dangers of the bad parts of human nature, which is greed, which is obviously selfishness that could basically create more ambitious thoughts, was free market capitalism, not globalist capitalism, not corporatist nonsense that you're getting. Free market capitalism was able to actually take advantage. If you're greedy, fine. You need to make a product that everybody wants. You have to make this thing and people will buy it. Yeah, you could get rich if you want, but you are providing something to society. Not this nonsense that you got all these fake industries and fake jobs, non-job jobs. People are making money for doing nothing. Like Maya Tusi, talking to camera and making money. That is disgusting. See the irony? Yep. I had to call myself out. I mean, I like to think I'm still contributing as a service, because this is about obviously a public service in terms of information. But I'm mostly talking about jobs like business management. No, management consulting. That should not exist. Management consulting should not exist as a concept. Just take care of your own company, you idiots. Maggie says, I love to watch your channel, news update with good humor. But today I managed to comment and to subscribe. Great media. Thank you. About time. Welcome to the 2CTV tribe. Super chat from Lauren saying, sorry, Maya, but I can't afford £1,200 super chat. Why would you do £1,200 super chat? There's no, can you even do that? Please find below all the Kia nicknames. Oh, is it going to be so many that you will require a lot of super chats? I'll go through them. I'll try to find the comments. Scott says, keep up the good work, Maya. Thank you very much, Scott. Right. Where is Lauren's? Did you put the names? How do I find them? Is it here or? I can't find it. I don't think she actually put the names. Yeah, it's fine. It would have been entertaining, but anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. We have to come back and talk about what's going on in the Middle East because Beirut is going boom boom, and senior leaders of Hezbollah are being eliminated as we speak. We might be seeing the final countdown when it comes to Hezbollah. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and support us by joining 2CTV Plus. Go on 2ctvplus.tv to get access to our premium shows, documentaries, and our chat forum if you want to talk to me and like-minded people directly. We have a new documentary show coming called The Rise of Globalism, which will be ready in the next few years, few days. It will be ready in the next few years. And of course, our next documentary, which is called Cancelled. We are still working on that as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.